what I realized is that each one of those diseases has this age-related component. So yes, having a high cholesterol can increase your risk of heart disease as much as 20-fold, but an 80-year-old has 500 times the risk of having a heart attack compared to a 20-year-old. And so age is a risk factor for not just heart disease, but also cancer and dementia and on down the list. And so instead of just playing whack-a-mole and hitting kind of one disease at a time, by slowing down the sands of time, by slowing down aging, we can address all these different chronic diseases together. If all cancer was cured tomorrow, the average life expectancy would only go up about 3 years. And the reason is because if you don't die from one age-related disease, you just die from another. The reason you die from cancer is because you were going to die next year of a heart attack, but cancer got to you first, right? So, but by slowing down aging, we can kind of hit all these diseases together.
Hey everyone, Ella here. And today's episode is with the Dr. Michael Greger. I've been a huge fan of his for so many years. I've actually met him, I don't know how many years ago, on the Holistic Holiday at Sea, the vegan cruise, when I was doing a book signing and he was giving a talk. And now we got to spend a little bit of time together. It's a short interview. He's a very busy man because his new book, How Not to Age, is available as of today, December 5th. So that's exciting. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that before we dive into this interview. But first, as usual, I'd like to start with a personal celebration, which is that I am going on a vacation. Yes, this month, going to Guatemala with my man, Quinn. We are going to stay on Lake Atitlan, Lago de Atitlan. And that's right in Guatemala, surrounded by volcanoes. We're going to be visiting some sacred ancient Mayan sites, hiking those volcanoes, exploring the villages around the border of the lake. We'll do some kayaking, maybe even hang glide or paraglide. And when we get back, we'll record a podcast and share all about it. So I'm really excited about that. It's been a rough month with the passing of my fur baby, Shy, who I am posting about like crazy on Instagram. I get up early every morning and write. I'm writing her story, our story. She was such a character, and I'm grieving. I'm grieving pretty hard. And approaching myself with curiosity and compassion, like I help my clients do. And it's tough. And that's just life, right? So, yeah. So I'm excited to take this trip. I think it's going to be amazing. And I can't wait to share it all about it with you all when I get back. So the few more announcements to make. First of all, thank you to all of you who donated to Hogs and Kisses for Giving Tuesday, and those of you who donated to any nonprofit that has a mission of making this world a kinder, more compassionate place. Just wanted to give you a shout out and thank you. Thanks to your donations, we met our goal. And so we are now moving forward in preparation for welcoming rescued turkeys onto the land at Hogs and Kisses. We're expanding our fur family into a fur and feather family at Hogs and Kisses. Remember, we do have a B&B that is on Airbnb right there. And so, yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much for helping us make that happen. Another announcement, I'll be taking the rest of December off from publishing new episodes. So we'll take about 3 weeks. We'll be back in January. Just a great time for you all to catch up on any episodes you've missed on this podcast or on our sister podcast, the Vegan Life Coach podcast. So yeah, just get a little caught up. I'm going to do some interviews and prepare for making 2024 a season to remember with amazing guests. I cannot wait for some of these guests to come out, these episodes, some super fun ones. So I'm not going to give it away, but yeah. And if you haven't signed up for my newsletter called The Way, it is coming out tomorrow. It's the first Wednesday, usually the first Wednesday of every month, The Way Wednesday, where I give my top latest badass discoveries, like songs I'm obsessed with, or quotes I'm pondering, books I'm reading, other podcasts I'm listening to, workouts I'm doing. I kind of just share what's up with me and things that I think could be helpful for you too. And last, if you're loving these episodes, I have a small request in the spirit of giving this holiday season that would make a huge impact and take you all of 30 seconds to leave a rating and review. It really helps people find us and know that it's worthy of a listen. I know there's a lot of shows out there these days. So if you enjoyed this one and could contribute by leaving a review, I'd be so grateful. All right. So back to today's episode with Dr. Greger. It's a short one, a fun one, a very informative one. Let me tell you a little bit more about him in case you're unfamiliar, because when I think about holistic health, I really think about not only nutrition and sleep and exercise, but also purpose, right? And living our purpose and finding meaning in life. And if there's anybody who does that, it's Dr. Greger. He's a founding member and fellow of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, a physician and internationally recognized speaker on nutrition. His science-based nonprofit, nutritionsfacts.org, offers a free online portal hosting more than 2,000 videos and articles on a myriad of health topics. Dr. Greger is a sought-after lecturer and has presented at the Conference on World Affairs and the World Bank, testified before Congress, and was invited as an expert witness in Oprah Winfrey's defense in the infamous meat defamation trial. A graduate of Cornell University School of Agriculture and Tufts University School of Medicine, Dr. Greger is also an acclaimed author. How Not to Die, the How Not to Die cookbook, and How Not to Diet became instant New York Times bestsellers. More than 1 million copies of How Not to Die have been sold, and all proceeds Dr. Greger receives from the sales of his books and speaking honoraria are donated directly to charity. How cool is that? All the links will be in the show notes, so make sure you check them out. And without further ado, let's do this. All good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Are those all your dogs?
Oh yeah, no, actually, we got a new one since, so there's one more.
No way.
We
So
got to
is
do
it 5?
We got to do a new holiday card.
Oh
We're
my
up to
God.
5.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh.
All rescues.
All rescues. Thank you. I just lost mine 2 weeks ago at 17. Yeah,
I'm
she
so
was
sorry.
Thank you.
17.
17. Yeah, she was plant-based.
Wow.
I rescued her. She was about 3 when I got her. So she was plant-based for 15 years. She was
wow.
great help. Yeah, but love that.
Poor
All
sweetheart.
good. Oh, so good to have you here.
Happy to be here.
You know what? I met you. This was many years ago. I'm sure you hear this all the time, but you were speaking at the Holistic Holiday at Sea cruise.
Oh yeah, fun.
Yep. And I was doing a book signing myself, and I gave you a book, and you said to me, because my book is very fitnessy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and you said, we've got to get those CrossFitters. That was your words.
Excellent.
Do you think we've made any progress on the CrossFit front? I've been trying. I've been doing my best.
Well, we need to clone you. That's the
yes, that would be good. That would be good. Well, yeah, I've got so many questions for you. You've got this new book coming out. I want to talk about that. Also, just want to say that when you deliver information, Dr. Greger, you almost sing it. Like this, I was listening to your talk, one of your TED Talks yesterday, And I just thought, you almost sing the information. Has anyone ever told you that?
That only happens when I'm really good at a talk, when I've memorized it, and that the new talks. There's a lot of it takes a while to get into the groove. Yeah, but once I have a talk down, once I can, be like coming up with my grocery list while I'm giving the talk for the next day or something, then it's really good. Then I know the timing. Yeah. So eventually it gets there, but this new talk, the aging talk, it's gonna be a while before it sounds sing-songy.
Well, it's so engaging, and I think that's so important, right? When you're delivering this, such evidence-based, this research
Right.
to
Very,
lay
yeah,
people,
heavy.
right?
Yeah.
And it's engaging. So thank you for doing that. It's great.
Absolutely. Well, all the information in the world is useless unless there's people like you in the trenches actually putting it to use and giving it to people. So, very excited.
Cool. Can you also confirm that you are a real life human being? Because that you're not superhuman? Because seriously, I feel like this should be an episode on productivity. I don't understand how you do what you do. Do you have a work-life balance? Is there a balance?
God no,
Okay.
God no.
Okay.
But what I do have is a big staff. So that's what I have. You can't do this. So we have 14 people on staff full time, and about 100 or so active volunteers at any one time. And so it's like, we just churn through. I mean, how else can you churn through thousands of articles?
Yeah.
So it's really kind of a team effort. So yeah, there's no way I could do it alone. But yeah. And what's nice is that we have staff on each side of the globe. And so, when I go bed at night, I can, I can give them a big load of work and it's all done in the morning, and then I can take it back. So we have this kind of 24-hour cycle that keeps it rocking.
What time do you go to bed?
Oh, actually, I've been trying to be much better.
Uh-huh.
That's one of the pillars of lifestyle medicine that I'm still
Yeah.
working on.
Yep.
But I've been trying to do a lot better. There was a very bad time when I was doing 3 hours a night. So bed at 11:30, up at 2:30 every night. And yeah. I mean, I found I was just not as productive when I was unconscious, and so I was like, let's get doing. But what's interesting, what really stopped me, besides being absolutely miserable, was that people think that they're much more productive than they actually are when they're sleep deprived. So it's not just that they are much less productive, but they don't realize it. Like, that's this funny thing. People think they're doing great. It's like when certain people on drugs, like, I'm so creative. Oh my God. And then you look back on what you wrote and you're like, oh my God, what is this? And so yeah. So I felt like I was, getting a lot more done than I actually was. And so, but yeah, so I'm really trying to get 7 hours of sleep now.
Okay.
Which is what I recommend people get. So, and I'm able to do that now. When I'm, next week I'm on the road. The book is out.
Yes.
And that's harder, right? Some of these, book signing lines going for 4 hours, and then I got some early flight the next day, and it's going to be difficult to stick with it. But having control over my same thing with diet. Like, when I have control over my diet, like, I have no bad food in the house. Like, even if I wanted to eat something crappy, it's like, too bad. There's nothing, right?
Right.
But when you're on the road, you just do your best just to make it to the next gig.
Yeah. And this will actually come out on the day that your book is available. So this will
December
be
5th. That's
December
exciting.
5th. That's
then
the
I'll
day.
be so then I got 100 cities for the next 6 months.
100 cities. And how many languages is this book coming out in?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I know How Not to Die ended up 36 languages.
Wow.
I don't think I can even name 36 languages, but this one, I mean, I know we're in the biggies. We have a German edition, a Spanish edition. I'm not sure how many we're up to, but probably less than a dozen so far. But we'll see how it does. And if it does really well, hopefully other countries will pick it up.
Well, aging is, longevity is all the rage these
You'd
days.
hope.
Yeah. What inspired you to decide on this topic for this book?
Well, it reminds me a lot about about my last book, the How Not to Diet book. Both the diet and anti-aging industries are these, multi-billion-dollar behemoths, right? And with so much money in the mix, the temptation to promote products purporting all sorts of, preposterous claims is apparently irresistible, right?
Mhm.
And so, even an educated layperson seeking, basic practical advice on in either arena, living longer or lighter, is faced with this just inscrutable barrage of pills and potions, and even as a physician with the luxury of wading, neck deep in the medical literature, it's been a challenge to tease out the naked truth from the emperor's garb. But in the end, I realized that just makes this endeavor that much more important, right? If it took me 3 years to go through all the science, right, I'm afraid the casual observer would just have there'd be no hope from separating facts from farce.
Mm. Yeah. So when I look at all the longevity studies out there, one of the things that comes to mind first is, of course, the blue zones and the
Yeah,
centenarians, and so I'm sure that that's in the book, right?
yeah,
And
whole
yeah,
section.
but the question I have, because I haven't seen the book yet, is many of these zones do include fish and olive oil and wine. Like those are three, at least for the in Greece,
Right, the
uh,
Mediterranean, right.
even the Mediterranean. So is there longevity because of some of those foods, or is it in spite of, or were you able to figure that out?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So what you want to do is look at kind of a Venn diagram of of all the different blue zones, what do they share in common? So they could each do their own little thing, but what is kind of the core? What do they share? Kind of the core tenets. And so thankfully, we have over 150 dietary surveys that have been done in blue zones, so we can actually kind of lay it out. And so there's a Blue Zones organization started by Dan Buettner that did that, and so they came up with the Blue Zone food guidelines, and you could look them up. There's 10 of them, and number one is eat a diet that's at least 95% plant-based. And then next one is reduce processed foods, and then the one after that is a daily dose of beans, telling people to eat more legumes as like the healthiest source of protein. All the blue zones as their primary source of protein with some kind of legume. And then drink mostly water as the best beverage. Nuts is the healthiest snack. And then cut down on fish, cut down on eggs, cut down on sugar, cut down on dairy, cut down on meat. That's all 10.
Wow, got them memorized. Did anything surprise you while you were doing your research?
Oh my God, the whole book. Like I knew so
Really?
little about going into it. I learned as much as anybody else doing one of these books. I mean, in fact, there were entire areas of science that were not discovered when I graduated from medical school, like microRNAs. I have a whole chapter on that. It undermines the entire central dogma of biology, which we all learned, but it didn't even exist. It wasn't discovered till after I got out. So completely new, completely excited, totally nerded out. Had a great time, and so lots of stuff was really kind of shocking to me. And really changed my own diet a lot.
Really?
So the what I found about exercise, sleep, red wine, resveratrol, NAD supplements, vitamin D, fish, protein restriction, microRNAs. I mean, just the list goes on and on. These where it's like I went in thinking, oh, I'd probably recommend this supplement, and then I'm like, oh God, so glad I looked. But I really wanted, and that's why this book is so, that's why there's 13,000 citations. It's because I wanted to cover every possible, every anti-aging supplement that's ever been purported, every organ system, preserving your vision, your hearing, and your, on down the list. So yeah, it was just a huge project.
What can you share any specifics about what you changed in your diet? I'm so
Oh
interested to know
yeah,
this.
no,
Yeah.
totally. Like so, I'm now using a spice called papali, which is long pepper, which is in the kind of the black pepper family, has something called piperlongumine, which is maybe a senolytic compound, which destroys these so-called zombie cells in the body, these pro-inflammatory cells in the body that contribute to the aging process. Wheat germ. I remember my mom used to give me wheat germ. She was totally right all along. Mom's always right. That should be the lesson. Yeah. So wheat germ is something called spermidine, which boosts autophagy, which is this kind of house cleaning process by which your cells kind of clear out accumulated debris that adds to the aging process. The most concentrated source of which is in wheat germ. Started eating cardamom, eating more tempeh than I used to. Started growing my own mushrooms. You can grow oyster mushrooms just like you can like sprouts, broccoli, or whatever. You can grow moisture. It's so cool. Yeah, strawberries, eating more strawberries because something called fisetin. So encourage people to eat fresh, frozen, or freeze-dried strawberries. Normally I'd be like, oh, well, I'd choose blackberries because they have 5 times as many antioxidants as the strawberries. Right? If you're gonna choose one, might as well no, because there's this crazy compound in strawberries that has the effects that you really can't find anywhere else, kind of in the plant kingdom in concentrated form. So, all right, strawberries it is. So I actually, going on the road, I have these little packets of freeze-dried strawberry powder, which I'm gonna put in my, hotel oatmeal or whatever, and so keep it going on the road.
So do you fly to the locations and then stay in a hotel?
Yeah.
Mostly, okay.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah.
You don't have a big tour bus and
tour bus. That's
yeah,
what I need.
Come on, Dr. Greger.
I need the Greger tour bus.
Yes, it needs to be wrapped, right? Like a moving billboard.
Oh, there we go. Right, exactly.
This is this is promoting.
That's hilarious.
So, no, I'm very serious.
Totally. Well, no, that's how I started out. I started out on the road, living out of my car. After I got out of med school and finished my postgraduate medical training, where I just needed to get this information to everyone's hands. And so I started traveling to all the medical schools, and staying on people's couches and just, didn't, own a pillow, didn't own I was on the road full time. But that only, there's only a certain number of years you can do that before you finally.
And then 5 dogs later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Much better.
See, if you had a big tour bus, you could bring all your
oh my God, that's true.
Fur babies, right?
Oh, that's true.
If you need a manager, a new manager here, I got your tour bus.
You're totally right. You're totally right.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so let me see if I can phrase this correctly. You had the How Not to Die book, and now you've got How Not to Age. They seem very related, because when you're aging, you can't be dying yet, but then there's the health span versus lifespan and all of this. How do those all kind of fit together? How does that How Not to Die and How Not to Age? Do you see where I'm kind of going with that?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. So, I talk about how there's no such thing as dying from old age. There was a study, 14,000 consecutive autopsies, and not in all the centenarians, not a single one died of old age. They died from disease, most commonly heart disease, which is the number 1 killer of men and women in general. So even people that look perfectly fine, their physician said they're in perfect health. When you actually cut them open after they die, no, they died from disease. And so wait a second, if everyone dies from disease, and why wasn't How Not to Die all the longevity book anyone needs, right? It's just 15 chapters, each of the 15 leading causes of death, talking about their old diet, maybe playing, preventing, arresting, reversing each one. But then what I realized is that each one of those diseases has this age-related component. So having a high cholesterol can increase your risk of heart disease as much as 20-fold. But an 80-year-old has 500 times the risk of having a heart attack compared to a 20-year-old. And so age is a risk factor for not just heart disease, but also cancer and dementia and on down the list. And so instead of just playing whack-a-mole and hitting kind of one disease at a time, by slowing down the sands of time, by slowing down aging, we can address all these different chronic diseases together. If all cancer was cured tomorrow, the average life expectancy would only go up about 3 years. And the reason is because we don't die from one age-related disease, we just die from another. Oh, don't have Oh, the reason you die from cancer is because you were going to die next year of a heart attack, but cancer got to you first, right? So, but by slowing down aging, we can kind of hit all these diseases together.
Okay. Interesting. Now, what about from well, I mean, like we're looking at the fitness perspective, that fitness is very, what I learned working in the fitness industry is that it had very little to do with true health, right? It had mostly to do with how people looked on the outside. So coming from that angle, there's the protein thing, right? And we need protein to build muscle, and people in the fitness, they want to build muscle. And yet in a lot of longevity experts talk about reducing protein, although you do need a little more, right? When you're older. Can you talk to that a little bit? Is this a give or take? Like you can either have muscle or you can live long.
Right. No, that's literally what I thought when I was going into it. When I was going into it, because I was aware of the anti-aging literature and thinking, and knowing that, excess protein can increase, lean mass, among, younger middle-aged individuals. And so was there going to be the seesaw? Was it like, do you have to have one at the expense of another? But when it comes to protein aging, less may indeed be more. Reducing protein intake, meaning restricting protein intake down to recommended levels. It's the only thing that I could find that could block all 11 of the aging pathways, boosting NAD, improving immunity, decreasing oxidative stress, inflammation, insulin resistance, as well as cancer-promoting growth hormone IGF-1, and surprisingly, no benefit to adding extra protein to the diets of older men and women in terms of muscle mass, muscle strength, or muscle performance. It just doesn't work. Instead, with the excess protein, what you get, that most Americans get, causes a drop in the pro-longevity hormone FGF21, a drop in testosterone, a worsening of the age-accelerating hormone mTOR. So we really should try to stick to the recommended level of 0.8 grams per healthy kilogram of body weight, which comes out to be about 45 grams for the average height woman and 55 grams for the average height man.
Very interesting. Okay. Yeah, because even some of the longevity experts are still touting protein.
Well, they're not touting it based on the evidence. They're not touting it based on the literature. I mean, the anti-aging literature is very clear. I mean, the most potent thing you can do is methionine restriction in terms of longevity. And methionine is an amino acid found in concentrated in certain proteins. So that's why caloric restriction works, because you're actually cutting down on methionine because you're eating less protein. Or you can just keep calories the same, cut down on protein. That'll lower your methionine. Or you can keep protein the same and just shift from animal sources to plant sources, which tend to be lower in methionine. Any of those above can decrease methionine, which is kind of our best bet of if there's one kind of silver bullet for longevity. And so that's why we think caloric restriction works. It's not about the calories. It's really about not just protein in general, but specific amino acids like the sulfur-containing amino acids, cysteine, methionine, branched-chain amino acids. We really want to keep those minimized, certainly get sufficient levels, but not to get excess levels in terms of improving our lifespan.
Now, when you do all this, bring all this new stuff home, and you're saying, okay, we're going to add this, I'm going to add this, I'm going to add this. Does this, how does this affect your family? Are they like,
oh God, why is there parsley and everything all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at this point, they just know that, all of a sudden, no more bananas in the smoothies because of the new study or whatever. It's just like, yeah, all right.
Okay, wait, why no bananas in the smoothie?
Oh, yeah. So this new study, I just did a webinar about it. There's an enzyme in bananas called polyphenol oxidase that actually destroys some of the nutrition in berries and cocoa, and so if you mix it up in a smoothie, you're actually particularly if it waits around for a while, you're actually getting less nutrition had you not add bananas. So I encourage people, do frozen mango instead or something like that. But yeah.
Oh, it is a lot, right? It can be a little overwhelming because I eat a huge kale salad every day. That's my breakfast.
Amazing. I love it.
Except, and then I realized I was drinking a matcha tea, and then my iron levels were low, so, and then I was like, okay, no, I have to wait an hour between my kale salad and my matcha, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot. How do you help people?
No. Well, first of all, I mean, you really have to, the really core tenets, right? It's really the basic common sense lifestyle factors that can really mean the big difference, living a decade or more. It's the not smoking, not being obese, regular exercise, more fruits and vegetables. It's really the basic stuff. Never too late to start eating healthier, to start moving, to stop smoking. And so that's like 80% of the problem, right? Okay. And then, yes, if you want to really optimize, right? And you seem to me as the optimizing type. Okay. Yes, there's all sorts of cool stuff we can learn and we can tweak, but I don't want people to be like, just throw their hands up in the air and be like, oh, it's too complicated. And right. Eat whatever
Right.
garbage put in front of them. Food industry loves that kind of, muddying of the waters. But no. I mean, the core tenets of healthy eating, healthy living is really the basics, getting most of the way there. But and that's why I really try to emphasize in the book. In fact, the whole conclusion is talking about, okay, let's take a step back. Here's the important things. I know there was a lot here. But then yes, there certainly is stuff for every other little body function you want to optimize, but let's not forest for the trees.
Yes, I get that completely. Very good. And then last kind of question about aging. So sticking on the physical level, skin.
Yeah.
I think, that's a big thing. I mean, I'm 43. I'm looking down. I'm like, oh, I mean, there's certain things where, I'm like, oh, my elbow. I'm like getting old lady elbows. Is that what I like down thing? And then I just approach it with compassion and say that's just part
Very
of the
nice.
process and blah blah blah. But is there things we can do, because most collagen
yeah.
is animal based?
Tons of stuff we can do. Well, yeah, it's animal based because animals make collagen like ourselves. We make collagen. You don't have to eat collagen. It's like saying, it's like I want to be smart. I'm gonna eat brains. Like that's not how it works. It's just not how it works. But
Can you give us like 2 or 3?
There's lots of things we can do for our skin. The single most effective thing to slow the signs of skin aging is protect your skin from sun damage. Though ambient air pollution can also contribute, but it's really daily sunscreen SPF 15 or higher. We want the mineral sunscreens, the titanium or zinc, and so that's really the most important thing in terms of diet. The carotenoid nutrients in certain colorful fruits and vegetables are deposited in the skin, give you this kind of healthy glow, both light and dark skin, and not just appearance, actually improves skin elasticity, collagen status, facial wrinkles, probably due to this kind of inside out sunscreen effect. So you can actually, do these experiments where you burn people with lasers, before and after eating more, sweet potatoes, and you can get significantly less redness after eating these, these healthy foods. Drinking extra water can improve skin dryness and roughness. Honeybush tea can reduce eye wrinkles. Cocoa powder can increase skin thickness. That's skin thinning is a real problem in old age. Elasticity, decrease wrinkle severity. Almonds can also decrease wrinkle severity, again because of probably some UV resistance in the skin. Ground flax seeds can improve skin smoothness. Soy foods can improve skin elasticity, fine wrinkles. And then in terms of topical treatments, most of the anti-aging creams actually don't work better than just simple moisturizers. But the gold standard of anti-aging skincare is the daily facial moisturizer with the sunscreen. And we have randomized controlled trials proving that randomizing people to more sunscreen can significantly cut down invisible skin aging. There are these retinoids. There's a prescription retinoid called tretinoin or Retin-A that can actually reverse signs of existing sun damage, but a small fraction is absorbed into your bloodstream and actually may increase your risk of premature death. So I don't recommend taking. In fact, that was just a video that went up, I think, today, talking about the concerns about that. Low concentrations of alpha hydroxy acids. Skin lotions can improve facial photo damage, but also increase skin photosensitivity, so then can make things worse in the long run. But there are a few things that I found that could be useful. Topical vitamin C and topical nicotinamide can reduce wrinkles and sallowness, improve skin firmness. And so I have recipes for like DIY, vitamin C serums, which are like 2,000 times cheaper than you can get at retail. Basically, you're just mixing 3 grams of bulk ascorbic acid into 30 grams of water into like a 1 ounce dropper. It costs you about a nickel per ounce as opposed to like $120 an ounce.
Oh my gosh.
And then topical nicotinamide is even more expensive, over $200 an ounce. But all you do is mix 1.4 grams of bulk nicotinamide for every ounce of your favorite skin lotion. Apply a pea-sized amount to each side of your face once a day. That's like a 5,000% discount. Can go
Yes,
on.
I
But
know.
we're running out of time. I know. That was just
So
skin.
quick.
But
I
all right.
know.
Sorry.
Oh, Dr. Greger, no, thank you so much for everything that you do. This is a show about holistic health, and a big piece of that is living our purpose. And you certainly do that day in, day out. I love that you have rescued animals as well at home. And I appreciate you so much. Can you just tell us where to get this book that is out today?
You can get this book anywhere from your local public library or any bookseller, and all the proceeds from all my books are all donated directly to charity.
You're amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Greger.
Thanks. Keep up the good work.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey.